Hello. We are back to our Eat More Plants program. I'm Mary, and today we are working on lesson number 9. So, from all the past lessons at this point, you know that eating a plant rich diet reduces carbon emissions and will help stop the climate crisis. So, in each lesson, we usually answer a question. Last lesson, we answered the question, what do I eat? And we looked at that and we analyzed that. So this lesson, the question is, what could I eat? What could I eat that would help the planet? So if you haven't already looked into this throughout this program, take a little bit of time and do some research. Research plant-rich meals for breakfast and lunch. And just take a piece of scratch paper and make a column that says breakfast and one column for lunch. And as you see something interesting, just jot it down, like quinoa porridge with bananas, quinoa porridge, or almond flour walnut muffin, Or for lunch, you might have protein plant-based pasta with pesto and pine nuts. So as you see these things, just jot them down so you have a list to refer to, because you will need some ideas for our project today. So, but only write down things that you're interested in. And just a quick note, why are we focusing just on breakfast and lunch? Because you guys probably know this, but I think kids usually have a lot of say in what they eat for breakfast and lunch. They definitely get to pick often what they want. Whereas dinner, that's the whole family that has to be picking, liking it. So we're just going to focus on breakfast and lunch because I think you have the most say in that, the control over that. Okay, so you have your list of breakfast ideas and lunch ideas that you are interested in possibly trying. And now we will move on to the art lesson. But before we dive in, we need to review our materials. So we're going to start out with, you need an 8.5 by 11 piece of watercolor paper. And you want the rougher side faced up. You also need a set of watercolors. You need a cup for water. You need a rag. So after you've rinsed your paintbrush between colors, you can dry it off. You need a small paintbrush and a medium paintbrush sized. You need color pencils, definitely as many colors as you can get, but definitely you need black. And a regular pencil, because we're going to rough out our project in pencil first. And then just a piece of scratch paper to draw out some ideas before we start. Okay, so the lesson today is, what could I eat signs for breakfast. You can choose breakfast or you can choose lunch. So let me show you what they look like. You're going to do drawing and painting for this project. So this is the first one. And you're going to create a tagline for your sign. And this one is plant-powered breakfast. And you can see there's some different ideas. Here's another one with a heart, and my tagline is love plants for lunch. And this one is eat for the earth. And this last one is plant-rich lunch. So these are really fun. Your meals are going to be done in color pencil, and the background is going to be done in watercolors. So there's a lot of different pieces to this sign, right? There's drawings of the meals, and there's labels for each meal, writing, and then there's a tagline. A tagline is kind of like the theme, or I like a hashtag for something. So to start out, I want you to do something called a thumbnail. And a thumbnail is like a quick sketch. I want you to sketch out some different ideas. Now, just like all of our other projects, a balanced, visually pleasing composition is really important. So you need to have a plan before you jump in, or you'll end up with all your meals squished on one side, or it won't be even in balance. So what you want to do is get your piece of scratch paper and your pencil. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to sketch out some ideas. And I have done that. So here are my ideas. Now you can use these, or you can come up with your own. So this is a circle. So I decided, and you can see the numbers are going to represent the different plant-based meals that I'm going to draw. And the middle, I decided for this composition that my tagline is going to be in the middle, or my hashtag. And what I did was I started out each square and I did a dotted line in the middle vertically and a dotted line across the center horizontally. So I have a center point. And then I knew I wanted a circle, so I split each of these sections into two. So now I can evenly place my meals. And this is 8, so I put 4 on this side and 4 on this side. You can see in my heart configuration, I sketched a heart outline first to get it how I want it, and then I put my meals, my numbers where I'm going to have my meals, and then I just jotted tagline in the middle. So I can kind of you can kind of visually start understanding what your idea is going to look like. This one is just stacked. So I have my center lines, and then I split the sections in half. So I put 4 on this side and 4 on this side. Even balance and composition. This one I did a rainbow, and so I did 2, 2, and 2. But again, I started out splitting the paper so I knew where my center was, and I can make things balanced. This one I did a diagonal, and this one I did a sunset kind of look. And for each one, I just sketched in tagline, and just do that. Don't really think of what it's going to be yet, and don't draw your actual meals. So then you have what's called a thumbnail, meaning it's small, like your thumbnail is small. All right, there we go. So now we're actually ready to dive in. So I'm going to get my dry erase board, and we're going to do one together. Okay, so you have your thumbnail, I have my dry erase board, and we're going to go through all the steps together. So to summarize, before we start, you have your thumbnail, that's step number 1. And you're gonna have picked out 6 to 8 meals from your list with your research. You're gonna have a tagline. You're going to draw your 6 to 8 meals, and then in color pencil first, and then color pencil. And then you are going to paint the background with watercolor. All right, so I'm gonna do the sunset configuration. So first thing I need to do is put my center lines, which I have right there, and I've got that started. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to make, kind of like with the heart, I made an outline of the heart. I'm going to start with a very light line in pencil of my sunset. There we go. So that's my sunset. Then inside that, I'm going to do 6, and I'm deciding I want to do breakfast because the sun is rising and it's breakfast. So I'm looking at putting my little, like I have on my thumbnail, I know I want to do 3 on this side and 3 on this side, and I want to have them kind of follow the curve of the sun. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm looking at that, and I'm not happy with my balance. I'm happy with how this looks. I'm not happy with how this looks. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to have my 1 a little lower, like I did my 6. And that gives me a little more space for my meal drawing. 2, 3. Now that looks, I'm going to move this down a little bit still. Now that looks a little more balanced. So this is what you're working out when you're doing your thumbnails. So I know I'm going to draw my pictures of my meals, my 6 breakfasts like that in that location. And then I'm going to have a tagline. So your tagline, let's talk about your tagline. Your tagline is going to be 1 to 4 words, or a hashtag, that kind of summarizes the theme. And so I'm going to have my tagline be beautiful breakfast. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop for a moment and review all the taglines that I used on my samples, so you can kind of be thinking about the different ways you can do it. So one thing I have found is to use the first letter a couple different times. Do you notice instead of just putting breakfast or fabulous breakfast. I did beautiful breakfast because B and B kind of sound good together when I'm reading it. Now this one, I used a banner for my tagline, and I'm gonna give you some banner ideas. This is Plant Rich Lunch. Now I didn't use the first letter trick there on that one. Now on this one, I did use the first letter trick. Eat, E, for the earth. Eat for the earth. Kind of sounds fun the way you say it. And this one I didn't do a banner. I put a cloud around it because it kind of tied in with the rainbow. So you can be creative about what you want to put around your words, or you don't have to put anything around your words, your tagline. So this one, I have a heart configuration. So I used love in my tagline, tying in with the heart. Love plants for lunch. See, love, L, lunch. And then my last one, I used P&P, plant powered breakfast. And I put that in the center of my configuration. And I put some little vine of plant running through that just for fun. All right, so that's a review of some examples of taglines. So for this one, I'm gonna do beautiful breakfast. So before I dive in and actually write my beautiful breakfast, I want to show you some ideas of banners. So this I got from Pinterest. And so those are some different banner ideas if you want to use those. But again, you don't have to have anything around your tagline. Now, you want to think about what lettering style you want to use. There's so many different lettering styles you can use. So I want this one to be kind of natural and flowy, like, I don't know, like what I imagine the sunrise to be natural and flowy. So I'm going to use cursive, and I'm going to use lowercase. So I'm going to throw B, U, Tish, full, and then I'm going to do breakfast. So there I have beautiful breakfast. Now you, again, can use any kind of lettering, and I am going to give you some ideas because I, of course, printed some out for you. So it can be, this is just, your lettering can kind of represent what the message you're trying to do. So you see sketchy looks sketchy. Bright looks kind of bright. Combo means different letters. Then, if you want to do block lettering, there's block lettering for you to refer to, so you don't have to look it up. If you want to do bubble lettering, and the way to do bubble lettering is to lightly draw the letter normal and then draw a line around it, which you can see that's what's happening on this example. This is kind of patterned letters that are kind of wacky and fun. You could do that. These are lowercase block letters. And you can pause on these if you want to use them when you're actually drawing your tagline. And these are more fancy. All right, so we've done our thumbnail, we've done our tagline, and next we're going to do the meals. So now we're going to draw our meals. And I have some pointers for doing the meal drawing. First of all, find a real picture of what you want to draw. That will be very helpful in having it look realistic if you can actually look at an illustration or a photograph of the meal that is your idea. And also keep your pencil sharp. Start with your regular pencil and then do a rough draft and then go over it with color pencil, but a sharp color pencil. So, and don't be afraid to include details. So let's say my first meal I want to put is an almond flour apple protein muffin. So I'm going to do a muffin, and I'm going to remember the little details of the muffin papers go like that. I'm also going to include the little lines that happen. You're going to be neater than this, of course. And then I'm going to have kind of my bumpy top. And you are going to find that you might not have a color that you need. So maybe my yellow is too bright, like a real apple muffin wouldn't be that bright yellow. So I'm gonna mix colors. I'm gonna mix like yellow and brown together, yellow and orange together to make the top of my muffin. And I'm gonna put like little curves in there. So maybe that represents the apples. All those little details add up to a realistic looking image of your meal. So, and you could even include, for this one, I'm gonna do pan fry, a vegetable potato pan fry. And so I'm gonna put a drawing, my drawing's gonna include actually the frying pan. So I'm gonna have it go like this. So you can kind of see the hole, because frying pans usually have a hole in the handle. So you could actually put the pan or the plate, and then I'm gonna have potatoes. And I am using a large tipped Sharpie. So my drawings are not as detailed as yours will be, but definitely add some peppers or tomatoes, things with color. So yeah, take some time on those drawings, draw them in pencil first, and then go over them with color. Okay, before we move on to the background, I have an important reminder. Do keep your meals large. Make them as big as you can while still fitting all of them in. What you don't want is tiny little meals like this. Okay? Because the meals are really what we want to show up the most, and you're going to spend a lot of time, and it's very hard to get those important details if you're drawing very small. So really take up as much space as you can, unless it's overlapping the next meal. This muffin is pretty sizable. It is not tiny. So keep your meals pretty good size. And of course I couldn't help myself, so I made a little board with some ideas that I got from Pinterest. And these are all illustrations. They're not photographs of different meals. Ideas. There's a pan fry. There's a lot of different kinds of toast. So yeah. All right, now, once you have all your meals sketched out in pencil and then you've added color, what you want to do is you want to label the meals. And don't hesitate to put details, you know? Don't just put muffin. Put almond flour apple protein muffin. And mine is not going to be neat, but yours is almond flour apple protein muffin. And then you're going to put vegetable potato pan fry. So for each one, you're going to have a label of exactly what it is with a pretty good amount of details. And what you might want to do is you might want to incorporate the style or something that looks visually nice with the style of lettering you used for the tagline. So if you used all lowercase, maybe use all lowercase. If you use bold here, maybe make this the first letter of each word bold. Something to kind of tie it in. All right, so now you're ready to think about your background color, which is going to be watercolor. Now, you have a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to show you here. I took it away, but you have a lot of information, a lot of visual things to look at. You've got your tagline, you've got 6 to 8 different meals with a lot of detail. You have the labels. So I encourage you to use a limited number of colors for your watercolor background. I would say 1 to 3 at the most. And what you're going to do is, for this, I'm going to make all my sun yellow, and then I'm going to blend 2 colors for the background. And I am going to take my time, and I'm going to go carefully around the outline of my color pencil meal. I am going to paint right over my pencil writing of the label. After I've painted it, I'm going to paint over the pencil label. I'm going to paint over the pencil, regular pencil tagline. After the watercolor's painted and dried, then you'll go back with your black color pencil and overwrite the pencil. labels and overwrite the pencil tagline. That way it will be bright and pop out and be much more clear that way. All right, I'm gonna review my examples so I will show you what I meant. Now here, I did some blending. And when you blend, you put one color down and then you overlap the next color over it, and then you overlap again. And this is the color combination I'm gonna use behind my sun. I did pink and orange and red. I did some blending, and that's tricky. It's tricky. You have to go pretty fast so it doesn't dry too fast and the colors are separate instead of blended. So this one, I only used 2 colors, and I used pink for my heart, which made sense for a heart for me, and then blue on the background. And you can see this is still, I did not paint over my color pencil drawing of the meals. I painted around it. And here I used more than 3 colors, 2 or 3 colors, because I have my rainbow painted in there. And you can see I left a little bit of white between each color so they didn't blend or bleed into one another. And I used color pencil here instead of black on my tagline. And then for this last one, no problem doing just one color. As I said, this is there's a lot going on here, and you don't want to get too busy. You want to be able to really see those meals that you spent all that time sketching. And on your meals, don't be afraid to put garnishes. You know, a little bit of lettuce around this, a little bit of parsley in your lentil soup. All those details add up. And here I even put some flowers on my banner. Okay, watercoloring tips, don't forget. Between each, when you switch colors, you need to wash the brush and you need to dry it with the rag. And in order to get these intense colors, you may have to do a second coat. You may need to let it dry and go back and do a second coat of pink and a second coat of the turquoise if you want it to be this intense. And it's worth the effort if you're not getting it as bright as you want initially to do a second coat. So now you have your "what could I eat" sign for breakfast and lunch. Now you can take this and you can put it on your refrigerator to give you ideas and reminders, or possibly you could give it to a food provider other than somebody at home. So if you wanted, as a class or as an individual, you could ask your cafeteria chef if you could post these in the cafeteria to kind of educate other people, other students, about plant-based meals that are tasty and give them ideas. So maybe these could be in your cafeteria for a decoration. Also, you could use, if your cafeteria has them, some do, maybe they put signs up about things in these plexi sign holders, and your sign could fit right in that and be at a table instead of on the wall, showing kids ideas for a plant-rich lunch. And actually, there could be one on each side. So those are some different ideas of what to do with this art to make it actually help influence and educate other people about the things that you've learned. So now you know some new ideas of things you can eat. So go try them out. Okay.